Hey guys, so this is a video to showcase my version of The Office, US version, the show, in Minecraft. I haven't seen many of these. I've actually seen only a couple that are worth mentioning. A lot of them really didn't do that great of a job. They didn't really spend much time on the details, and I personally have actually watched all 9 seasons of The Office 14 times. So not only do I have most of the stuff memorized, but I do have a good idea basis on memory. But I did also have to break out some blueprints of The Office that I had to do some research on. Found out a couple of flaws with filming and stuff that I had to kind of work around. I'll show you guys what I mean by that in just a second. Now, obviously, this is Chandler Valley Center Studios in Los Angeles, California. Um, and basically, this is what we have here. I'll put a little side by side image of what the actual thing kind of looks like. Um, and I did base it off that, and I made sure I got most of the dimensions right of the actual building. Yes, it is curved in the back and the real thing as well. Um, Obviously, this isn't a very detailed version, but I don't have many competitors. This is Dwight's car. It's actually a 1987 Pontiac Trans Am. One of the things you'll get to notice is that these windows are blocked off, and the reason is because if you actually look at the blueprints, none of the windows are the same, and the reason is, um, if you actually look at The Office and pictures and watch The Office 14 times like I do, you'll notice that the windows are not the same size when you're actually looking from the inside. And that's because they used this for most of the exterior shots, some of the interior shots, but most of it was filmed in its own soundstage, and they used a green screen to kind of capture outside window shots. Sometimes you'll see it's a little like fuzzy in times, and that's because they actually did use a green screen because they actually recreated the whole entire office in their own soundstage, and that's why the windows don't line up if you actually try to build it. Um, Works great as a show, but when you try to recreate it, it doesn't work too well. And I try to figure out how people did that in their own not tutorials, in their own little showcases of the office in Minecraft, and they didn't really do anything about it. They just sort of all they did was make a different room, and so it wasn't realistic. What I ended up doing was integrating my knowledge of command blocks and allowed me to be able to be teleported to my own separate soundstage per se. Um, but fundamentally what that does is allow me to have a lot more room because if you actually okay, so what happens here is obviously this is the elevator, that's the door to the stairs, and the thing is the stairs wrap around to the right, but the problem with that is there's no room. It wraps around to the right and it goes up, but then there's no room to make anything out here. You can't wrap it around because there's no space. And plus, you know, if you actually count the number of windows when you're walking into the actual office thing, there is 5. But the thing is, this would be part of the hallway. This would be in their entrance. This would be Michael's. These two would be both in the conference room, but the entire annex is invisible. There's nothing here. And yeah, there's obviously nothing here. But you won't really see that most of the time because this is only for exterior shots. I don't really have to worry about that much. I'm going to fill it back in. I'm not going to leave it like that. But the thing is, there are 2 windows in the conference room. And if you watch The Office 14 times, you'll notice that. And they're not the same size. In the actual building, they're square. But if you look inside in pictures and stuff, they're like a rectangular one, more vertical. And so I know how to operate command blocks, which is pretty cool. It's pretty simple once you just get to it. It's not that complicated. It's just a little bit of random coding, but it makes sense to your brain, which is nice. Um, so obviously we have the building, and the warehouse is not complete because I am struggling to find room for that as well. I might have to make a teleportation command to teleport to a different soundstage for the warehouse because it's really confusing. The fact that they had to make that many transition cuts between different sound stages and stuff is pretty cool if you actually think about that. You know, they had to like move across freaking town for 5-second shots. It's pretty weird. Make a day again. And so, okay, so say you're walking into this. Obviously, you got the office, you got the gate that Dwight crashed into with his '87 Trans Am. On the episode The Injury. So when you walk inside, I don't know if you saw that, but it does in fact teleport me. Obviously, I can add a table here, but for now it's just benches. Um, what the blue wool means is that I don't yet have any reference pictures, or not many reference pictures from areas like that. Um, and if you noticed, if you go back out, obviously it gets teleport back. The red wool means buildings, and so I haven't finished back that way. But when you go inside, teleport you, obviously. Um, these are the stairs, and this is what I was talking about. It wraps around to the right. Now the thing about that is I wouldn't have, this would be the end of the building right here. And good thing this is a separate soundstage. So obviously here, oh, and yep, we get to meet Dwight Shrute. I don't know if you guys, well, you probably noticed. There's some weird changes, stuff like doors, villagers, some of the glass, like this. Um, it's changed, and I made my own texture pack for that. And I can make a separate video on how to do that if you guys want, but for now, it's just pretty simple. I'm just working on it. It's nothing crazy yet. I just made some kind of textures to get a basis of what they're supposed to be looking like based on the actual show. So obviously this is Dwight. I retextured a villager to look like Dwight. There's multiple villagers, which gives me a lot of play to make different characters from The Office. I do have Jim as well. I haven't found him in a while. He might be wandering around somewhere because I don't know where the heck they are. This goes nowhere. A lot of these doors go nowhere. And that is because it's not the main focus. You rarely ever see them. I think I have a couple of reference pictures from this, but I have not yet found them. I'll have to go episode by episode to try to figure out any little details that can be shown, because I'm pretty sure in some of like the fire episodes, it who the frick? Dwight, get out of the door. Get out of the door. Okay, fine. We'll leave him in there for now. He'll be okay. There are some shots that are looking this way, and I'll be able to figure out. But for now, it's just a tiny room with a desk and a plant, just for placeholder purposes. So the elevator does work, if you're wondering, by the way. It's just a simple button. It's buggy, but it gets the job done, because the reason it's buggy is because it's a completely different direction, and I had to figure out how to make my character turn in a direction relative to where he was already. So that was kind of difficult to figure out, and it still doesn't look seamless. So I'll have to fix that or just leave it as it is. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But obviously, lights, not crazy. Here, we have here, you can look at the window, and you enter this. You know, obviously towards the end, there's like a glass here and here, whatever. And then we open it, and we have the office. We have the chairs, which I just used stone brick stairs. I'll retexture them, but they already look like the chairs anyway, because they're gray chairs, and then you could see like the seams where it's sewed in, so it already looks pretty good. Obviously, painting was retextured to look like Pam's painting. I'd say this office is about where it was when the show ended. If that was 100% true, though, this painting would be gone because Pam took it to go home because she was moving to Austin with Jim. But for now, that's gonna be there because that's a major part of the story. Not major, but it's a nice story part. So just little stuff like ferns, because they do have a lot of plants in the office. I didn't really realize that until I was looking for it. Other things like calendars were just paintings, obviously. Oh, that's my license plate for another thing. Not my real license plate. I used it because I was making cars in Minecraft, and I was making a Happy Sabre 2K18. All right, anyway. This was a previous texture pack that I copied and retextured stuff, so I could have two different ones. Anyway, that's this thing for another story. All right, so there's another painting like this. Sorry, I can't. Well, okay, that's a good one right there. There. That's a clipboard, not a clipboard, a bulletin board, sorry, that I retextured painting to look like. And then little piece of paper taped to the wall, blah, 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 little stuff like that. But it does make all the big difference, because if you actually look in the stuff, there's a lot of it. Then we have stuff like a coffee mug, which is just a retextured head. I don't want to put it on Pam's seat. That's weird. Let's put it here. I guess Erin, sorry, her seat was Pam originally, but okay. I still hear doors opening. I don't know if that's Jim making racket somewhere, but I'll find out in a second when I go and look for Jim. Maybe he fell out. I don't know. I hear it. Okay, anyway. So Pam's desk, obviously retextured painting to look like the little Dunder Mifflin home screen. Here we have accounting. We got Angela, Oscar, and Kevin. They'll have their own computers. And over here, when you actually look over the blueprints, this office doesn't really exist in some of them because that office was actually added later on. And it's kind of weird because they never really mention it until it's there. If you actually look at the blueprints, this desk used to just be Meredith, and Creed was over here. But then they add like an office, and then Creed and Meredith sat at the same desk. It was kind of weird, but it's pretty cool. So this was Jim's office when he was promoted to co-manager. He was co-manager with Michael, and then Daryl used it later on, after Daryl and Joe Bennett interfaced, as Daryl said. This is just a retextured piston. The reason I chose a piston is because I could retexture different sides of the piston. I know I could do that with other blocks, but this was the only block I could think of at the moment, so I just retextured it quickly so that I could have different that's a regular bookshelf. This is a piston. This is also the same piston. It's just a different rotation. So I could just retexture one block and not have to worry about retexturing multiple. So I'm saving blocks. All right. So anyway, we got Michael's office. Not only do we have one coffee mug, is we have Michael's World's Best Boss coffee mug. Complete with coffee inside of it, as well as a little coffee stain on the side, which I accidentally did, but now it looks awesome. So this, ignore this for now. I'm going to retexture this. It was I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of random little car themes, like, obviously that, and then, what else did I do? Oh yeah, my license plate or whatever. And that was because I make cars in Minecraft as well. I made my 85 Trans Am. Well, not my 85, but I made a 85 Trans Am in Minecraft, if you guys saw that video. And I used certain textures from that. And then I just copied that texture pack because I didn't really retexture many blocks except for paintings. And then I copied it and pasted it. So now I have two texture packs. One is the office, and the other one is car pack. And obviously they have retextured from another texture pack that I used a while back. But for now, that's just there before I retexture it. Obviously, we got a little desk seat, Michael's desk. Some stuff here that I'll retexture. We have the conference room. Now, I did see a video where a guy had a conference room in his office, but it was really small because he didn't have the teleportation command. He just did with what he could, did whatever with what he could. So he only had one window. But this has two windows, just like the actual office. So obviously we have some stuff like pieces of paper taped to the wall, and this is going to be retextured. But for now, it's just a random painting. Here we have the other sales desk. Obviously, we got Jim, Dwight, Pam's future desk here. And then here we have Stanley. We have Andy set here for a little bit, and then Nelly set here. And then we have Phyllis here. So that's pretty much this room. Obviously, there's nothing in here. I added random blocks just to look like shelves and crap. I did retexture snow block to look like a microwave. And the reason I chose a snow block is because it adds a little bit of detail. Because it's not a full block. So when you look at it, you're like, wow, that's kind of cool. It's like its own little model. And not really. It's just because you know how you could place snow like this, so I can make its own little thing. I mean, yeah, blah, blah, blah. So I just chose that just to make it look cooler. And this is whatever. Sink. This because the countertop was gray, so I just placed that there. Obviously, coffee. Chairs. Bulletin board, because this bulletin board was actually there. So this might have been here, now that I think about it. I don't remember, but for now it's there. This men's room, based on actual blueprints of the office. Ryan's future room, which is right here, which is a lot smaller than actually is in the show, and that's because the bathrooms were just big and the blocks are big in Minecraft, and so you got to make everything bigger. Good. Okay, Jim's not in the woman's bathroom. I do need to make the seats and stuff here because obviously they were in there. Um, Now welcome to the annex. Let's see if we could find Jim in the annex. That'd be pretty cool. Um, so far, I have everything that really needs to be here. We have, well, I don't know if you guys if you haven't watched it all yet, then I don't know if you really want to, but obviously we have the annex. People sitting here. Keeps changing over time. We have Kelly here. We have Toby here. Again, another thing that needs to be retextured. This one, Tony Gardner actually sat here for like one scene is where you actually saw him. That was all. These things need to be retextured. This acacia door. Just used bulletin boards. Gabe sat here for a little bit. Need to add seat. This obviously break room. For the longest time, I thought the break room and the kitchen were connected, but after watching The Office 14 times, I finally realized, hey, wait a second, they're not the same thing. So, yeah, they are separate things, separate rooms, and I could, go in like similar angles. So, like, here's where Dwight and Andy were trying to impress Aaron with their musical talents. Dwight was playing the guitar and Andy was playing the banjo, and then Toby got mad outside and started knocking on this window. And it is the right proportions here, so that's pretty good. This one, you really don't see much in the office, but this hallway seems a little too big, so I don't know if I'm going to make this break room a little bigger by 1 block or something, but I need this to have a block on this side just so it looks even. So for now, it's just going to be there, because you really don't really see that often. So anyway, that's that. Now we're going to get into the technical side of everything here. Obviously, we have the office. I have yet to find Jim, though. I don't really know where he was. We saw Dwight. Let's find Jim. Is Jim in the elevator? No, Jim is not in the elevator. Maybe he fell out. He's not in here. Dwight's still out here. I don't know what he thinks he's doing. Did Jim fall out? No, doesn't look like it. Anyway, okay, that's a good time to show you guys what this actually is. Now, what happens is when you get teleported, relative to wherever you were. So as soon as I hit a certain block, I get teleported to the exact block over here, and then I just recreated everything I did over there over here. And obviously, I didn't make the stairs and everything there. I made that all here. Because I don't want to make all that twice. I just want to make the main rooms that you could see from the window twice. Jim, actually, wait, no, he might not have fallen off. He could have gone anywhere. He's not in the elevator. He could be this way because I just blocked this off. Let's try to find him. By the stairs, no. I do not know where Jim went. He just oh, there he is. There he is. Hey, looks like Jim. Okay. Anyway, that's all I wanted to show you. But obviously, yeah, he must have escaped through here. That's okay. We could just make another Jim. Anyway, so yeah, this is the office so far. And let me show you how I did this, and I try to explain this to you in the simplest way possible. Obviously, I made the building. And then what happens is I have 2 main sequences by the command blocks. Now, one thing here, this is a redstone clock. These blocks here are all connected to the redstone clock. What this is, I'll recreate a little mini one for you. Not mini, but you know what I mean. So you place a redstone comparator, not a repeater. This is a repeater. This is a comparator. They're different things. Comparator. And then you place redstone around it. Now, it has to attach to the side and it has to attach to the front, which means you could do it either way. You can do it this way, or you could do it this way. But it has to be attaching to the front and to one of the sides. So I'm just going to do it to the right for now. And then you want to place a block of redstone. Now, you'll notice it won't do anything, and that's because it's not activated. So you want to tick this. You want to click it once till this thing is on. Right-click it. This thing, blah, 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 will start to tick on and off, and that's what I mean by clock. It just goes tick, 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 turns on and off. What that does is constantly activate this. So whatever this is, it'll activate it. So if this is connected to a piston, it'll just go because it keeps getting activated and then non-activated. How I could use that to my advantage is by integrating a test for command into this command block. What this does is, quite simply, it tests for @p, which is the nearest player. Targets the nearest player at a specific coordinate, and this r means radius, so radius of 1 block away from it. So it's not exactly on that block. It's radius of 1, which is the reason if I'm walking over it or slightly to the right of it, it'll still teleport me relative to where I was. So that's all that this does. Now, what this comparator does in this situation is when it's not ticked, when this is activated, when it finally finds me, when it's like, oh yeah, okay, it finds the nearest player here, this turns on and activates this, which teleports me relative. That's what the squiggly means, relative. It needs to have 3 commands. Boom, boom, boom. Now, relative 11 blocks, and the second one is always height. How you can do this is press F3. Sometimes if you have to press like FN, F3 or something. You'll just check your controls in the game, but just try to press F3, and you'll be able to, under block right there, you'll see where you are, and so that's how you're able to see it. Now, if you want to copy it to your clipboard really fast without having to type it in, say you want to be right here. So you got to look at the block, type /fill space tab space tab space tab, and then that'll type out the coordinate for you. Now just copy that and then click exit, because it's /fill is a separate command, so you won't want to do that right now. And then you could type it in there, and then you're just going to make sure if it's relative, you got to make it relative. What that means is that say this is the activation block. If I'm standing on this, it'll teleport me to this block. And the thing is, even it's still considered this block, even if I'm in the very bottom right of this block. I'm still considered in the block. And the thing is, if I get activated right here and it finds me, it'll teleport me to the center of this block. But if it's relative, it'll teleport me to the exact location in that previous block I was, so that it acts as a seamless transition, which is really, really helpful for this. Now all this does is just sets this to air, so it's no longer looking for me at that coordinate, so that nothing gets messed up. And then this just sets the block over here to redstone, and now activates the same one for over there, so that when I'm walking out of the building, it teleports me back there. Now, if you have no idea what I just said, just ignore it. I'll maybe explain it in a different video. But obviously they're separate buildings. This is the actual building, and obviously I could not have fit that in the actual building, and that is the reason they used real soundstage instead of the actual building, because the actual building had it in it, but it didn't have the same stuff in it. Anyway, it's complicated. I'll have to show you guys the picture, the reference images I'm using. And then I still have to connect rooms like this. Like, I'm not really sure how the heck this is connected to this on the same level. I don't know what stairs to put in this. It's kind of weird, but it just sort of works out. So obviously here is where they had the funeral for the bird. For now, this wall is just sitting there, but this is where they had the funeral for the bird. And this is also where they had their little warehouse garage sale. And, you know, Dwight thought Jim had magic beans. And then he came out here to try to plant them. And then Jim pranked him by putting the plants right here. So, anyway, that's pretty much all it is. I'll show you guys one more time what it's like to walk through here. It teleports me. You could look up here. You could look around. I'll show you guys the office one more time. We found Dwight. Actually, where is he? I don't know where he went. Wonder if he's back in the office. Looks like it. Is he? I cannot tell. Oh, yeah. This is also a trash can that I retextured a creeper head to look like. Obviously, Dwight set this on he caught fire in here to add smoke or whatever, and he smoked out the area for. That's the episode where Stanley had a heart attack. It was stress relief episode. This obviously doesn't go anywhere, but this actually works out pretty well because this whole area here is a staircase going back down. So that works out good. Still haven't found Dwight yet. I don't know what he's up to, but yeah. So anyway, this is the office in Minecraft. This is kind of a part 1 of a bunch of parts that are still to be determined. I'm going to make. I'll give you guys a quick update. Show you guys what's new after I do some finishing touches and add some more rooms, and then eventually we could add some other rooms that weren't in it and kind of make our own little office. He's not in the elevator. Maybe he's in here. I'll be able to make Dwight's little office as well as the office that Meredith and Dandy Cordray were in, and then Van's refrigeration and stuff like that. I have not found Dwight. Don't know. Wait. Nope, not him. Anyway, oh yeah, this is where Hank is, obviously. And then we walk back out, and we have the office. And that's it, pretty much. Like I said, I'll give you guys updates whenever I add something new and make a big change to something. I will let you guys know. Oh, God. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. And I will see you later. Bye.